I just listened to Lily Allen's new album, West End Girl, and I thought it was so brilliant. And I thought I'd do some book recommendations based on that album. Hello. Hello. Now, I was going to put in here some sort of legitimising story about the fact that I've loved Lily Allen since I was a teenager. Instead, I'm going to say thank you to the friends who listened to the album before me and told me that it came out because I wouldn't have known otherwise. Wax lyrical about how great it was because that really pushed me to listen to it this week on my commute to university. So I'm so grateful to them. So I have 18 book recommendations for you based on the vibes from that album. The sort of general themes that I'm going with are infidelity, the idea that a couple are not on the same page even if there's no infidelity involved, and other sorts of tensions between marital units, because I feel like that's what's going on here. Whether the man is the victim or the woman is the victim or however it happens to be, these are the book recommendations that I've got for you. So we're going to start with His Only Wife by Peace Adzo Medier. I own this book. I must have lent it to someone because it's really brilliant. So whoever has it, I'd love to have that back, please. This is written by a Ghanaian author, set in Ghana, where a woman marries a richer man through an arranged marriage that her family have set up. She goes to live in their new apartment, but something isn't quite right and she's not sure what. He's not always there, and she comes to realise that he's married to other people as well. At least one other woman. It's quite a long time I read this. I think it's just one other woman. So he has a whole other life that he's living. This is not any sort of crime thriller or anything like that, but it reads like a thriller. It is addictive. You can't put it down. I was expecting a crime to occur at any moment just because it was just so tense. So highly recommend that one. Next we have Juliet Naked. This one gets bonus points because it centres music at the core of the story. In this one we have a gentleman who is obsessed with a particular band and they have an album called Juliet. Juliet Naked refers to the stripped back, completely acoustic, very early version of the album, which him and a few of his online sort of cronies get really obsessed with. His girlfriend or wife, I'm not actually sure whether they're married, but she is his long-term partner and she's not particularly interested, but she does end up listening. And in the end, she meets the musician and things happen. This was a really great read. I expected from the cover for this to be just a really light-hearted, not very much book. I wasn't sure if I was going to like it because that's not really my genre, but it was really good. I highly recommend that. Next, we've got Our Wives Under the Sea by Julia Armfield. This one leans more into the horror, unknown, speculative kind of fiction where a married couple, one of the wives goes under the sea. It's her job to go deep sea diving and to work in one of those containers that goes under the sea. And the wife that stays at home just has to wait for her to come back. When the wife comes back, something is wrong. Something is amiss. She's not really there. She's not really present. Creepy things start happening with her body. She becomes obsessed with being in the bath. It's very creepy, very slow, very tense. Not a lot really happens. It is just this very creepy nature. But this one for me is about how you think you know someone and then something happens and you don't really know them anymore. So that's why I'm recommending this one. Next we have Cleopatra and Frankenstein by Coco Mellors. I really loved this when I read this, but we have quite a mismatched couple, Cleopatra and Frank. And I won't really say much more than that because I don't really think you need to know much more than that. They are just a very mismatched couple, and I think who get married too soon and then realise that they may perhaps aren't quite so well matched as they thought they were. Next I've got Exit Management by Naomi Booth. I really love Naomi Booth's writing. This one is quite fun but also very dark. We have a young man who cares for the home of an elderly gentleman who is now dying. Very wealthy elderly gentleman. And he meets this woman who starts to become his girlfriend, but she gets this idea that she quite likes this wealthy lifestyle, and she starts coming up with a plan about how to perhaps move the wealthy gentleman on because he has such a close relationship with the young man. The young man isn't on the same page as the girlfriend, but perhaps gets convinced to do things that he shouldn't. Yeah, really love this one. Highly recommend Naomi Booth's work because I've recommended her books a lot. Next, we've got The Tryst by Monique Roffey. You perhaps know Monique Roffey's name because of her very famous book, The Mermaid of Black Conch. This one, I don't see people talking about. I also see that it gets relatively negative reviews, and I think it's because people go into this expecting something similar to The Mermaid of Black Conch. But this is great in its own right. Just read this for itself. In this one, we have a couple who are not particularly happy. The wife dreams about having affairs. She is constantly thinking about random men, and she ends up encouraging her partner to have an affair. But it's one of those things where she's pushing him to do it, but it's not really what she wants. They meet a woman in a bar and they invite her back for potentially a menage a trois. But things don't quite go to plan. Who is this woman? What is this woman? Is she of this earth? Is she human? So yes, this one takes a bit of, is it paranormal turn? bit of an unusual turn. It's brilliant. Highly recommend. Next we have Rapture by Susan Mino. This is another one that gets really negative reviews online, but I think it's doing something very interesting. In this one, we have a couple who are engaging in a sexual act. We are hearing the story from both perspectives. So each chapter we jump between. The whole book, it's only a short book, the whole book is just this one moment, this one act. But we are in each of their minds as they're thinking about other things, whether they're distracted and they're thinking about their day, or whether they're engaged in what's happening, whether they're thinking about the partner that they're with. And what we get from this is how separate those thought processes are. We think in that moment we're supposed to be so connected to the person that we're with, and yet actually you don't really know what they're thinking. You don't know what's going through their minds. It could be something completely different. I thought this was what it was doing was brilliant, but it does get bad reviews. But I think this idea of people being so not on the same page is very present for this one. Next, we've got Small Pleasures by Claire Chambers. In this one, we're following the woman who becomes the other woman in a relationship where the husband and wife are not on the same page and want different things. So it's almost like a happy scenario of the other woman in an unusual way. It's a lot more complicated than that. There's a lot more going on in the story. It's fantastic. But for the purpose of this book recommendation about this album, that's the bit that I'm focusing on. This is, again, a very short and sweet book, but it's beautiful, well written, really engaging, and yeah, as I say, focuses on the woman who becomes the other woman. Next one we have is Mixtape by Jane Sanderson. This one has actually, I think, just become a film or a series, I'm not quite sure. So you can also go and watch this one. But this one also has bonus points because it centres music, and actually as you're reading the book, you can go and listen to the songs that they're talking about. So it's not even like fictitious music like Juliet Naked was. This is real music that you can go and listen to as you're reading the book. In this one, we have sort of a second chance romance. We have a couple who used to date when they were teenagers who then reconnect years later. They are both married, so their reconnection becomes an affair, but both of them are in marriages that are breaking down anyway, it would seem. So you get the sense of the unhappy marriages, the marriages where the couples are not on the same page, and then the second chance romance in the centre with all the music that sort of encapsulates their romance. This wasn't my favourite book of all the ones that I'm recommending today, but I do think it really fits the bill, and I feel like the music element really adds to it. Okay, next we have The Echo Wife by Sarah Gailey. This one is thriller meets sci-fi, but sci-fi set on Earth, so it feels very realistic, and it's more just like advanced technology rather than sci-fi like space fantasy. In this one, a man leaves his wife. We are following the wife, but the man leaves his wife for a younger woman. And what nobody will really talk about is the fact that this younger woman is actually an exact copy of the wife he's just left, but just with a different personality. And we come to work out that he works in technology where they're working on cloning people, and he has cloned his wife. He has made a better version of her. He's reprogrammed her mind. A whole whirlwind journey goes on after this. So that is not the whole story, but very fascinating. Again, two people who are not on the same page. I love you, but only if you were like this. Read it. So next I have Luster by Raven Leilani. This is another one where it's not my favourite on this list, but it really fits the bill. So this one centres on a woman who becomes the other woman, and she ends up going to live with the couple whose marriage she is essentially wrecking. As she is a black woman and they have an adopted black daughter, she ends up becoming some sort of surrogate mother, maybe, perhaps not mother, maybe sister, to help their daughter feel more settled and get to understand various aspects of her life and how she fits into society and navigate certain scenarios in society that unfortunately are what face people of colour. It is a very interesting book on the topic of race, but it does also fit the bill for this idea of infidelities and the other woman. So next we have Farzana and the Moon by Matt Wilvan. In this, Farzana wants to have a relationship essentially with the moon. She is devoted to the moon, but her partner is trying to get them ready for the next step in their life, which is leaving university and having to pay their bills and do all the things that we normally have to do in life. And so this follows his struggles with Farzana, with her need to commune with the moon. It takes a somewhat supernatural turn as well, although mostly it is set in a very realistic world. So next we have a short story, and I've just read this one. This is Then Why Ask Me to Come by Then Why Ask Me to Come by Risa Wataya and translated by Yuki Tajima. This one is from Strangers Press and has recently been released. It is just a short story, but in this one we have a man who reminds me of the main character in American Psycho. He's very concerned with his image, very concerned with how he's coming across, and he gets confronted over his multiple infidelities. And throughout the confrontation, he is just very concerned with, okay, can I come across as the victim here? How can I placate my wife in the ways that I know that she will be placated without annoying or arousing the suspicion of the other people in the room? It's really interesting, but again, infidelities, people on different pages, very good. And I hate to say it, but if you have watched any of the stuff about David Harbour, you might see some similarities in the character. Next, we have Near Distance by Hannah Stoltenberg and translated by Wendy H. Gabrielson. The reason I'm recommending this one is that our mother, who is the person that we are following, never really managed to stay faithful to her husband throughout their relationship. They have a daughter together, and her daughter is now facing sort of the same issue. Her husband has been cheating on her, and this mother needs to navigate how to help her daughter whilst facing her own issues and her own lifestyle, and how that impacted her daughter and her ex-husband. This is a character-driven rather than plot-driven story, and I thought it was absolutely brilliant. I really hope more people read this because it's fantastic. Okay, we've got Deep Water by Patricia Highsmith. This one again turns back to the thriller. In this one, we have some death. A death occurs, and it is the lover of the wife in the relationship, and the husband decides to punish her. He's going to suggest that he murdered the lover, and chaos ensues from that, and it's really gripping, and I had to stay up all night to finish this because I couldn't put it down. Please go and read it. Right, we've got The Garden of Eden by Ernest Hemingway. This was published after his death, so it is not a fully edited book, and I think you can tell that in the way it's written, but I've never read any other Ernest Hemingway, by the way, so I can't tell you whether it's very characteristic of his writing or not. I loved this. This is one of the best things I think I've ever read. And in it, we have a newly married couple who are on their honeymoon. The wife starts to, I think, question her gender identity. At the time that Ernest Hemingway was writing, they didn't have the language that we have today to discuss that. So it's never really said explicitly that she is questioning her gender identity, but she starts to try to dress more like her husband. She wants them to look the same. She wants them to look like siblings. So she dresses more like a boy. She cuts her hair short. And then they invite a third party into their relationship, which then obviously complicates everything. It becomes a source of tension in their lives. It's absolutely brilliant. Please go and read this one. If you never read any other Ernest Hemingway, please read this one. Okay, we've got The Comfort of Strangers by Ian McEwan, another little short one. And in this one, we have a couple who are in Venice. They are an older couple, not old, but older. They have grown-up children. And what I really loved about this is that the couple are always talking about how on the same page they are. They are always sort of congratulating themselves on what a brilliant couple they are. But then actually what you're really seeing is how distant they are from each other, how they don't really want to be around each other. They feel like this holiday they've taken is actually really claustrophobic. It's really the heat of the moment as well is just pushing them together, and they don't really want that. And then something happens and they don't really know why they've ended up in this situation. Really recommend it. As I recommend all these books. It's only short. Go and give it a try. Right, the final one that I'm recommending is Patience by John Coates. This is a Persephone Press book. In this one, we have a dutiful housewife who doesn't really love her husband, but she knows what her role in life is, and it is to be a homemaker. It is to take care of the home and have his drink ready for him when he gets back. And then she discovers that he is having an affair, and it's probably not his only one. She also, at the same time, meets a gentleman that she starts to fall in love with. And so this book becomes about her trying to get out of her marriage and navigate, because of the time that it was written, navigate her feelings on religion, what it means to be a divorced woman within her religion and in society, but also to experience sexual liberty. So yes, this one is also fantastic, and I really loved this one too. So there's all my book recommendations. I hope you find something in here that you're going to really enjoy too. And because I am trying to reduce my TBR down, I thought I'd share with you a few books that are on my TBR that I think will fit the bill for this video as well. I'll quickly tell you about them because obviously I can't recommend them because I haven't read them yet. But first of all, we've got Heartburn by Nora Ephron. In this, our protagonist is 7 months into her pregnancy when she discovers that her husband is in love with another woman. This one looks amazing. I mean, they all look amazing. Why would I have bought them otherwise? Couplets by Maggie Milner. This one is poetry, and this one is a bit of a queer story. Coming of age love story and coming apart. A woman in her late 20s leaves a long-term relationship with a boyfriend for another woman. The affair thrusts her from an outwardly conventional life into queerness, polyamory, kink, and unalloyed consuming desire. And that's written all in poetry. I've then got another Nick Hornby, so he was the author of Juliet Naked. How to Be Good. In this one, the husband in the couple decides that he's going to become incredibly charitable. He becomes a far too good person who starts committing crimes of charity, like taking in the homeless and giving their kids toys away. Suddenly Katie's feeling very bad about herself and thinking that if charity begins at home, then maybe it's time to move. So I thought that one sounded brilliant too. I've then got The Portrait by Ilaria Bernardini, and this one is the lover of a dying man starts to paint a portrait of the wife in sort of an obsessive way. She wants to be part of their life and she wants to find out more about their life together. But does Isla know of the writer's long involvement with Martin, or that her husband had chosen Valeria for the years ahead? Amidst their own private turmoil, the stories of their lives are exchanged, and as the portrait takes shape, we watch these complex and extraordinary women struggle while the love of their lives departs in an unforgettable, breathless tale of deception and mystery that captivates until the very end. And then the final one I've got is another Ian McEwan. This one's called Sweet Tooth, and this is a woman who becomes involved in the intelligence service and has to go and spy on an author, a promising young writer, and essentially it's one of these trust no one. But I love Ian McEwan's writing, so hopefully I will love this one too. And so the aim of this is I'm hoping that by one of my upcoming monthly TBR Zero updates, I'll be telling you about these books, or one of these books, or two of these books, because I will have actually read some of them. Thanks for watching.